Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going to get inside the head of Ben Horowitz and break down the unique philosophy he and Mark Andreessen used to build a venture capital firm, one that's designed not just to win, but to be built to last for generations.
So let's just dive right in with the big one, the question that anyone who's serious about venture capital has to ask themselves. Look, it's not just about having one good fund or even one killer decade. We're talking about building an institution that can actually endure.
You know, the conventional wisdom sounds super simple, right? Just get a couple of brilliant investors in a room, give them some money, and the great deals will just happen. But according to Ben Horowitz, that very common approach, it's actually a recipe for a firm with a very, very short shelf life.
And boom, right there, that's the fatal flaw in that whole line of thinking. Individual genius just isn't enough to last. Real staying power comes from the culture, the system that lives on long after any single person is gone. And that one insight, that's pretty much the foundation, the bedrock on which Andreessen Horowitz, or A16Z, was built.
Okay, so first up, let's get into the big idea. The thing that really makes A16Z different from pretty much every other firm on Sand Hill Road. It's a total reimagination of what a venture firm even is.
So, instead of kicking things off with a bunch of star investors, A16Z did something completely different. They started by asking, what is our product for entrepreneurs? They asked, what can we offer founders that nobody else can? I mean, this just completely flips the old model on its head. It treats the firm not as a collection of financiers, but as a product built for the people creating the future.
And this is where you really see that difference in sharp relief. The conventional firm gets the smart money people together, and then they kind of figure out how to help companies along the way. A16Z defines the help first, the network, the recruiting, the go-to-market expertise, and then builds the whole organization to deliver it. It's a complete shift from being investor-centric to being relentlessly founder-centric.
Okay, but that leads to a huge question, right? If your entire firm is a product for founders, well, how the heck do you actually design an organization to deliver on that promise? That one decision changes everything about how you build the business itself.
And this whole structure, it wasn't just some accident, or some weird quirk. It was a direct response to a massive, and I mean massive, prediction they made about where the entire world of technology was heading.
It really all traces back to this legendary thesis. They didn't just see software as like another growing industry. No, they saw it as this unstoppable force that was about to literally consume and remake every single industry on the planet.
And they weren't thinking small. They weren't thinking about incremental growth. They predicted a 100-fold expansion. Just try to wrap your head around that for a second. The old VC model was like a small-town fishing operation, built to find maybe 15 great companies a year. It was just not built for an ocean. It was about to have 1,500 of them.
So that just sets up this super clear, logical chain, right? The market blows up by 100x. That means way more great companies are going to pop up. So a VC firm that wants to be the leader has to scale up too. And you can't just do that with the old model. You need a totally new blueprint.
And here's their secret weapon for handling all that scale. See, in a normal partnership, everyone has a say, and making big changes can get totally bogged down in politics. But at A16Z, they centralize control. This lets them pivot and reorganize the firm super fast as they grow, something Horowitz says is basically impossible when everyone has a vote.
So, you take this unique philosophy, you bolt on this unique structure, and what do you get? You get an investment playbook that just flies in the face of decades of conventional VC wisdom.
And this is where you can really see how differently they think. Take fund size. The old wisdom, stay small, get better returns. A16Z, nope, make the fund big enough to match the giant opportunity. How about founder support? The old way is to focus all your time on your winners. A16Z, they're with every founder all the way to the bitter end. And incentives? Forget maximizing pay for each partner. They built everything around the mission because they believe that's what gets you the best people in the first place.
And this quote right here, it just nails why they support founders who are struggling. It's not about being nice, it's a cold, hard, competitive strategy. I mean, think about it. In a world where capital is basically a commodity, what's your real edge? It's your reputation. And having a reputation for being there till the bitter end, man, that is one of the most valuable assets you can possibly have.
And this whole contrarian model, it doesn't just affect how they run the firm day to day. It completely shapes how they look at the future, how they identify and bet on these huge technological waves, things like AI and crypto.
All right, so let's see how this all plays out when they look at two of the biggest things happening right now,
AI and crypto. And what you're about to see is that they view them very, very differently.
Okay, so with AI, Horowitz basically sees this giant tidal wave. It's been building for like 80 years. Its big aha moment happened a long, long time ago. So now it's mature enough that it just works. And because it works, we're seeing this crazy, explosive adoption. It's even changing the nature of computing itself, this shift to what's called non-deterministic computing, and that's attracting a whole new breed of founders straight out of the research labs.
Now, crypto, that's a whole different story. It's way, way younger. Its 1943 moment was basically Satoshi's white paper back in 2008. So what does that mean? It means it still has these massive technical mountains to climb, like it needs to get something like 100 times faster. And before it can really hit the big time, it's got to navigate a huge regulatory maze, including what Horowitz calls its casino aspect, which needs to be dealt with.
So when you're looking at these incredibly powerful, kind of scary new technologies, it brings up this final, really important question. With all this uncertainty and disruption, how do you stay optimistic about technology?
And the answer he gives, borrowing from the legendary Andy Grove of Intel, is, well, it's pretty profound. The idea is that these big technologies, they aren't inherently good or bad. They just are. It's like asking if steel is good or bad. It's just steel. It's a fundamental new building block for the world. And that leaves us with a huge responsibility. We don't get to choose whether it exists, but we absolutely have the job of shaping it, of building with it, and doing everything in our power to make it good.